Welcome to the Invite Health podcast, where our degreed healthcare professionals are excited to offer you the most important health and wellness information you need to make informed choices about your health. You can learn more about the products discussed in each of these episodes and all that Invite Health has to offer at www.invitehealth.com/podcast. First-time customers can use promo code podcast at checkout for an additional 15% off your first purchase. Let's get started.
We've all heard about the potential benefits that go along with green tea, but do you really understand what it is about that green tea that makes it so incredibly unique and special to your overall health? I want to talk about that today. I'm Amanda Williams, MD, MPH, and let's get right to it. Let's talk about tea. We know that teas have been widely consumed throughout the world, and we've all heard just how healthy it can be to drink tea. So today, what I want to do is I want to talk about some of the different studies that have shown just that, how powerful the catechins, these antioxidants that are derived from the tea actually are. And if you are taking, say, our green tea TX, for example, or the green tea HX capsules, you should know that you are getting a really powerful punch of that EGCG, or the epigallocatechin gallate. When you look at the capsule, the green tea HX, for example, that provides more polyphenols than you would get from drinking 7 cups of green tea. So while I certainly don't discourage people from sipping on tea throughout the day, I do, of course, encourage you to consider something like that green tea HX, the capsulated form, because this has been standardized out to 90% of those polyphenols containing a very high amount of EGCG. It has 350 milligrams of the EGCG. So, just going and getting an organic, bag of green tea, that's fine. But if we really want to look in terms of that translation into the health studies that have been done, we're looking at high amounts of that EGCG being exposed at that cellular level. So that's why taking a capsule of the green tea HX is something that I certainly encourage people to look into. So there has been extensive research on green tea, and I can just run through just some basic headlines. I'll go through so you can see just the full spectrum of just how widely studied green tea is. So they say EGCG is a powerful medicine against severe sepsis. So we're thinking about immune system, but we're also thinking, okay, what is sepsis? This is when we have a really severe infections. So let's look at some more of the green tea headlines here. So we have green tea ingredient, EGCG significantly inhibits breast cancer. This was from the American Physiological Society back in 2008. Let's jump to the next one. Green tea may fight allergies. Once again, this is from the American Chemical Society back in 2002. So we see all of the different headlines here, and let me just continue on. The Mayo Clinic researchers discovered that a compound in green tea, EGCG, can help kill leukemia cells back in 2004. Now let's continue on. Green tea linked to skin cell rejuvenation. Okay, so we're talking immune system, we're talking the skin. This is a really great thing. Brainy beverage. Study reveals how green tea boosts brain cell production to aid in memory. This was in 2012 through Wiley. And I think that when you start to see the scope in which green tea has been studied, here's another one of the headlines. Green tea may help prevent autoimmune disease. The Medical College of Georgia back in 2007. How it may help with losing weight. I mean, it's study after study. It is one of the most well-known studied nutrients out there. And why is that? Well, we have to look at the actual EGCG. And we know that it is that EGCG that has been touted as having all of these really powerful effects. So one of the most unique functions of EGCG in the body is that it is highly effective at turning off what is known as HMGB1. And so HMGB1 is a switch that induces chronic inflammation. So we go back to the basics and we say, okay, what do we know about inflammation? Acute inflammation is one thing. So say, we have an injury, we have acute inflammation, that's fine. We accept that. But chronic inflammation, that's something that we know is damaging throughout the entire body. And every single chronic disease is associated with chronic inflammation. So let me go back to EGCG here, and we know that EGCG is highly effective at turning off HMGB1, this main driver for chronic inflammation. So HMGB1, that actually stands for High Mobility Group Box 1, for any of you that are very science savvy and want to know more about that. But we know that HMGB1 turns on the release of these chemical signals called cytokines that generate all of this inflammation in the body. And how that works is it releases these inflammatory cytokines. And the problem is, if there is cellular damage, then that HMGB1 will leak out of the cell, and it continues to allow for that cytokine production to carry on, which is certainly not something that we strive for. So what we do know is that HMGB1 is now being looked at in the scientific community as one of the most powerful agents in accelerated aging. So that's not a good thing. So I always refer to that as inflammaging. So it's accelerated aging brought on because of inflammation. So when we look at different conditions where elevated HMGB1 levels have been detected, we can look across the spectrum. We can look at asthma, COPD. We can look at atherosclerosis. They've seen elevated HMGB levels in atherosclerosis. Congestive heart failure. We can look at the autoimmune conditions such as lupus, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, for example. Certainly in the spectrum of different cancers, we see elevations of this HMGB1. We see this in diabetes, in inflammatory bowel disease, things such as Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, in different neurodegenerative disorders. So we know that this HMGB1, when it is allowed to stay on, that switch is turned on, it keeps releasing these cytokines, which continues to do damage. So this is why they said, well, wait, if EGCG from green tea has been studied for its ability to actually inhibit HMGB1 release, then why are we not using green tea? And that's the question I always have, especially when you see how frequently it's been studied across the spectrum for all of these different health conditions. And we understand so much more through the science of looking at green tea and really honing in specifically on that powerful catechin, that EGCG. And through all of that, I just want to share some more of the actual studies. In a study in 2011 in the Journal of Biochemical Pharmacology, the researchers were looking at how the intake of EGCG would actually demonstrate this really positive ability to downregulate, once again, that cytokine release via HMGB1. So that's, just one aspect, but we know that it's doing many other things. And it is through the power of this catechin, which is why in the Journal of Nutrition Research back in 2012, they were looking at, and this was a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, finding the benefits of green tea extract, so that's the EGCG, when it came to blood pressure, inflammation, oxidative stress, and insulin resistance. That is huge. So in this study, they were giving out green tea to the test group, placebo to the non-test group, and they found that at the conclusion of 3 months, at the end of that 3-month period, those who were given green tea had improvements on their blood glucose levels, had improvement on their blood pressure. They had improvement when it came to inflammation. So this is, you just look and go, oh my gosh, well, why is it that we so easily just go about our lives and we don't even realize how much science is out there that has shown just how powerful this key antioxidant that's derived from green tea actually is. So Washington State University, they looked at the EGCG and how it was found to block the main pathways associated with rheumatoid arthritis. So the researchers out there in Spokane, they looked at this and they published this in the Journal of Arthritis and Rheumatology. This is a journal for the American College of Rheumatology. And they said existing drugs for rheumatoid arthritis are expensive and they're immunosuppressive, which means sometimes, that can lead you into a bigger risk category for, developing another problem. And they also recognize that for some people, they just don't respond well to the traditional pharmacotherapy. So the team out there at Washington State University looked at EGCG. And they said, okay, well, we know that this is a molecule that has this known anti-inflammatory property. And so we want to see, will this do anything in terms of a potential treatment for rheumatoid arthritis? And after their assessment, they found a really marked improvement. And through this, they have continued to focus their research on the utilization of EGCG when it comes to the treatment of patients who have RA. So with all the numerous population-based studies and the different clinical trials that have assessed what it is that green tea can do when it comes to human health, it's just remarkable that we still don't hear enough about this. When you see the studies done in cardiovascular disease with green tea, when you see the studies done with diabetes and green tea, obesity, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and you would think, okay, there's this huge, vast amount of scientific literature supporting the positive role of green tea in even preventing neurodegenerative diseases, not to mention all the other benefits that go along with it, that we would certainly know more about this at this point in time. But unfortunately, because it's coming from the quote unquote natural world, it is continuously kind of poo-pooed down, which is really, really a shame at the end of the day, because we know all of these ways in which green tea can help our bodies. We see not just the remarkable accomplishments it makes when it comes to the downregulation of the inflammatory cytokine pathway, but also how it actually works to keep our cellular DNA healthy. Because remember, it has a lot of powerful antioxidant value to it. So to fend off oxidative stress that we know is directly linked to the breakdown within that cellular structure. And they have even done studies showing how the consumption of tea could actually protect us from cognitive decline, which at the end of the day kind of makes sense because we're fending off oxidative stress, we're targeting inflammation. So with all of those things, combined, you would say, okay, yeah, then that's going to be beneficial for brain health as well. So a lot of different ways in which green tea has been really shown to have kind of the super food ability, one would say, when we look at the neuroprotective benefits, the cardioprotective benefits, all of the different things that we know can come up when it comes to the general aging process. And, accelerated aging is not something that most people are striving to achieve. Most people are trying to age gracefully. And seeing the vast amount of research out there, how green tea itself and those powerful flavonoids and the antioxidants within the green tea are working is just another reason to say to yourself, am I getting the right antioxidants every day? When I look at my supplementation routine, am I including in things like green tea HX or the green tea TX? And if not, why aren't I? And this is why I certainly encourage you to go to our website and check out our green tea HX as well as that green tea TX, and think about all of the different studies that I just quickly kind of ran through today. Skin health, for heart health, for blood sugar health, for targeting inflammation, for the brain, all of these ways in which green tea can help to optimize your overall health and wellness. So that is all that I have for you for today. I want to thank you so much for tuning into the Invite Health podcast. Remember, you can find all of our episodes for free wherever you listen to podcasts or by visiting invitehealth.com/podcast. Do make sure that you subscribe and leave us a review. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Invite Health. And we will see you next time for another episode of the Invite Health podcast.